Welcome everyone to this summit interview with Lauren Jubelirer. I am so excited to do this with you, Lauren, because I was just thinking about how we met back in 2001, almost 24 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share a little bit more about that, but just to say this is the summit uh, that Martha and I decided to create based on being superconductors of love and how that we are birthing into wholeness through the power of love. And that looking at the astrological mysteries and also what we're going to be talking about with Lauren through soul retrieval and so on is how we can increase our ability as superconductors of love. So Lauren and I met at a shamanic event. It was a combination of somebody who was doing a shamanic retreat and then shamanic astrology being combined together. So that's where we met in
And Joshua.
November of 2001, right after 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of a wild time. That was a wild time for sure. And when we met, it was like we saw each other. We recognized each other. We became instant friends. And I'm just thinking about how uh, that was just such an amazing time. And then over the years, we've done things together, we've taught things together, it's just been amazing, amazing time. And so Lauren is an acupuncturist of 34 years. She has a coaching practice, she's a healer, spiritual counselor, and just a number of things that are all in her bio. You can find more of that out. And one of the things she and I share is an Aries Pisces connection.
Yeah.
So I think our Aries Pisces saw each other right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an Venus and Aries and Pisces sun with lots of Neptune. And you are Moon and Jupiter in Aries with Pisces rising and then some other things. So I'm going to let you share a little bit about what your experience has been being that Aries Pisces combination.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Ah, I still remember meeting you at Joshua Tree and falling instantly in love with you.
Yeah,
And
so good.
yeah, like I always felt like we came from the same cloud. It was a fiery cloud.
Yes, very fiery cloud. With
So,
hair, what can we say?
I also have in my chart. So I'm also an astrologer, and I would say that my greatest love in my life and has been healing, but also teaching other people how to access the divine. In like my meditation practice always begins with meditation is easy. Everyone can do it. And I feel that way about working with our spirit guides and working with, the angelics and working with the spirit of the elements and the spirit of the earth, that this is something that as human beings, in some ways, is our birthright. But we've been dislocated from it for for not all of us, I mean, depending on the culture you grew up in, thousands of years. And so one of the ways that I've lived into the Aries Pisces is Aries always wants to have a mission and a purpose and wants to get the assignment. And my assignment has been very clear my whole life. And it is to help and heal others and help and, heal myself and help and heal others and heal my connection to my own inner divinity and inner authority and support other people in coming home to that within themselves. And I like to do a variety of things, and it's really fun. Aries likes to have fun, so for me, this is like the best. Um, and I have been a person. I was thinking about this today because I knew you'd ask me, and I thought, wow, one of the things about me is that ever since I was a child, I had access to the other side of the veil, that you could say. And I had these friends, and I called them the golden ha-has. And what they were these beings of golden light that were around me. But what I was thinking was I never told my parents. Like I knew, like it was private, but it helped me feel loved and supported in times in my life that I did not. And so I always felt this perception. And then when I was quite young, then I had all these sort of synchronicities, which is a very Neptunian, Piscean thing where I signed up for a course in social psychology at Cornell when I was 17. for the summer. And my teacher, my professor, had a teacher who was an indigenous Native American medicine man, and he brought us into ceremonies with him. So I was awoken to ceremony and also read Rolling Thunder and then I went to college and one of my professors was a fully initiated Guatemalan shaman and she was teaching medical and psychological anthropology then I had a healing crisis when I was about 22. Oh, I went to this is another thing about Aries, which is really funny. We get these flashes of like a road opening up, and then it's very clear that that's the road, especially when it's connected with anything Neptunian, which is intuition, inner guidance, and Pisces, which is that connection to that expanded reality where love is present and real and synchronicities happen and magic and mystery, and you put them together. I was going to go to England for my semester abroad in college, and then all of a sudden, I heard this voice, and it said, "Why not go to India? You go to England any old time, but if you're going to go away for 5 or 6 months." And the next thing I knew, I was in India in living in a Gandhian ashram, studying nonviolence, nonviolent lifestyle, Hisma. And we had these 6 weeks independent studies. And I said I wanted to study traditional healers. And I was sent into the bush to live with shamans and tribal people. And it went into ceremony and it blew my mind as a 20-year-old. So I came back and this is this Neptune, like I didn't really fit into the world at all anymore. And my reality was so expanded. And I was growing up in a home, and this is a very Aries moon thing where a lot was expected of me. I had good grades, and I was expected to maybe be a lawyer, maybe a human rights lawyer that would have fit sort of. My parents were like, "Yeah, you could do that." And I was in this world of spirit medicine and deep, deep healing energies and the natural world coming alive for me. And there was no way I could do that, but I still wanted to. I lost my eyesight in my early 20s in my left eye, and I had my first astrology reading, and I was told I was in a Chiron process and that I was a Chironic healer, and that Chiron is conjunct my Pisces rising. So I understood that. And then all of a sudden, again, this voice was like, "You can do this the easy way or the hard way." I'm like, "Easy, please." And it's like the easy way for you or the fastest path. Now I understand that it was the fastest path and nothing is go to acupuncture school, become a healer, and utilize that wisdom, that grounding in a system of medicine to build from. And then you will be a spiritual healer doing many, many things. And I was like, okay, what's the hard way? Be a lawyer. You will get very sick in your 40s and you will come to a healing path. You're going to do it now or you're going to do it later. You're going to resist or you're going to do it. And so I did it. And I remember thinking a lot, this was the easy way because Aries loves to have feedback, right? Like you're doing or this might be related to my personal soul loss and needing and part of my healing process. But it's also very typical for Aries. I wanted feedback. I wanted gold stars. I wanted like, you're doing a great job. And of course, in the healing, a lot of it's a mystery. Some people come in and they get way more than they asked for, and miracles and magic happen. And other people, and it doesn't always even make sense. Some of those people didn't do the inner work and didn't learn to love themselves, and yet they had these miraculous healings. And other people that are doing all. And so there's a lot of humility in being a healer and understanding that's not about you. And anyway, it's been a fun journey, and that's a little bit about me, a lot about me.
Learned so much. I think that's so inspiring, and hopefully it inspires people to also listen to that inner voice and
Yes,
choose a path that is more aligned for what their soul really wants because we can it doesn't matter what we choose, it will get us back on track eventually. And sometimes
yes,
very painful process to get back on track.
yes,
So yeah. And I'm also loving that you were talking about soul loss too, because I know that based on the what's happening with Saturn moving into Aries and back into Pisces and back into Aries and Neptune moving into Aries and back into Pisces and back into Aries, we've got Venus and Mars, Mercury, I'm sorry, Venus and Mercury doing the same thing in their retrograde in March, moving from Aries back into Pisces, back into Aries. Um, it's just such a powerful, rare time that is happening. And uh and how can we work with it? I mean, it's been 165 years since the last time Neptune moved into Aries, and almost 30 years since the last time Saturn moved into Aries. So this, and for them to do it together, it's been, you know, a even longer time. Like I don't even know how to quite
Yeah.
calculate that.
Saturn being so in my chart, I also have Saturn and Neptune in a dynamic aspect to my Sun and Venus. And I do feel like that does make me a very practical mystic, that I want to see that what I'm doing is actually making is somehow actually lending to the healing of myself, the world, another person. And I do love astrology for this, in that it gives us sort of a map of where we are. I remember celebrating the harmonic convergence with tremendous enthusiasm in 1987. And I had a Cherokee. So I've had medicine people, indigenous healers and teachers, also really from my early 20s all the way through my life. And now I have studied with Hank Wesselman and Sandra Ingerman to become a teacher of this, because it is practical mysticism and it is bringing back something that we forgot, but that's ours. And if you go back far enough into any ancestral line, we're going to have ancestors that remembered that there is the divine in all life and the divine in us. So we were talking earlier that the last time Neptune was in Aries, Alice in Wonderland was written, and Monet painted the gardens, and French and Impressionism was happening, and also the Theosophical Society and spiritualism was growing, but also we were in a civil war, and there was a lot of colonization as well. And so there's that the positive, very high octave of Neptune, which is all about really connecting to that reality of multidimensionality, love, compassion, empathy, creativity, and being able to feel that softness of the reality, and that that higher self, our higher self lives in those multidimensional worlds and realms. And when we talk about soul loss, I really want people to understand that you can't lose your spirit. Our higher self, when we resides within us and sends a hologram of itself, which is infinite, into our hearts. And we are never separate. Our attention may be separate, but what soul loss is soul loss happens in response to shock, loss, trauma, injury, and accidents. Um, Sometimes marriage, divorce, illness, things that happen that are so painful to bear that an aspect of our consciousness leaves and takes with it qualities that we need. Now, in many indigenous cultures, if someone has a trauma, the community will come together and circle around them within a few days or a few weeks and sing them back. We don't do that. And so let's take and so our soul. So when we think of our spirit is that higher self, and it's just unconditional love and access, unlimited access to all realms, and our inner teacher. And soul happens, but it's vertical. And soul is like how we engage with one another and the world, the qualities that we bring, like courage, like playfulness, like feeling safe. We can't wait for the world to become safe, to feel safe. We have a light body that remembers what safety feels like. But maybe when we were born, we weren't welcomed. That's the first time we can experience soul loss in the womb too, but when we're born, we're meant to be welcomed. and sung to, and we're so glad you're here. And if that doesn't happen,
I
that
mean,
feeling,
it doesn't happen today. I think it's changing, but you know, in many generations past, it has not been happening.
right?
So pretty much everybody's experienced that.
Yes. And then different points in our childhood, where, if there's abuse or neglect, there's going to be aspects of so soul has to do with these qualities, but also our life force and our vitality, and how it's a bridge between um, the spiritual realms and our physical reality. And when we lose some of this, what happens is in its place becomes a narrative that's false. So, for example, if a child has been neglected or abused, number one, a feeling of safety, the ability to feel safe may leave. The ability to feel loved and cherished or valued may disconnect. Or life vitality leaves, but it may take these things. And what comes in its place is a story like I must not be good enough. I must not be lovable. And then that story takes root. And when we talk about spiritual medicine, we're moving beyond psychology and the mind, and we're moving to what is the energetic matrix that holds in place these stories. Because what happens with me, with my clients, is many of my clients have been in a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching and a lot of everything, and they've done a lot of transformational work. And yet, the patterns that they are very conscious of and have worked through, they're still they're still an attractor field. And I think that there's a little missing piece in many things, which is soul retrieval is bringing back a facet of the diamond body. It's not a mental or psychological paradigm, it's luminescence. It's diamond light that comes back in. And when it comes back in, it brings back the ability to feel safety and to cherish oneself or to have courage beyond the thought of what might courage look like in this situation, but really feeling it. Um, and it's something we can all do. It's not a mysterious process. But it's light medicine. And sometimes we need to know what happened, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just because a lot of times people have done so much work on themselves but some of the symptoms of soul loss are poor memory, um, lack of vitality, weak immune system. It's as if the pathogens have greater enthusiasm than the person, right? We lose enthusiasm and feeling joyless or numbness or an inability to move beyond patterns, even though there's been so much healing that has taken place. And so it's really helpful to work with our spirit guides and our spirit teams to call back our our luminosity, our diamond light. And that's really what this is. And the reason that I think it's important now is because with Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries, this really is a signature for bringing spirit into matter and form, like really bringing these incredible our light bodies, our soul selves into physical reality. And we may need help. We may need support with that. And it's also a time that we are experiencing so many shocks, so much loss, natural disasters and wars, and that it is part of a playbook for any authoritarian leader to keep people in a state of shock and trauma so that they lose the ability to play full out. And also, we're living in a time when we are seeing the unraveling, which is needed, and the dissolving of old structures and forms that are based on energies that are leaving now, like the energies of power over or the energies of separation. Um, and we are bringing into form this new earth about connectivity, belonging, reverence for all life, love, and creativity, and also um, our the opening up of so much potentiality as a human being that we forgot we had, but that it's time to remember. And so supporting each other in anchoring that light is really helpful. That, I
That's
hope that makes
amazing. I just love this, and thinking about Neptune being one of the ways I often think of it is it's the source field of all possibilities. It's everything. It's pure consciousness. It's before things necessarily come into form. It's where anything and everything is possible. Um, and it also can be a place where we have illusions and challenges and we don't see things exactly the way they are because we're overwhelmed by the fact that if anything's possible, what do you choose? Or we don't have a strong enough sense of what we really want to create, but we have the possibility of doing that with that Neptunian energy. Saturn helping to bring that into form. Saturn's all about structure, all about form. And so without Saturn, we wouldn't have this 3D reality, this experience of this reality in physical form. So those two could work together. It's like Saturn might get a little frustrated with Neptune's expansive, everywhereness, and and Neptune could get a little frustrated with Saturn and its more structured aspect. But when they can work together, when they really can see each other and see that they have gifts that they can gain from each other, that's so good. And then if we can bring back the parts of our souls that have left because of the any traumas that we might have experienced, and then we're more connected to that pure source energy, and we're more able to help be co-creative in a powerful way. It's so amazing. And I will just say I've done this work with Lauren. It is great. It is just so good, and I highly recommend it because it goes beyond. I mean, we've all done so much, I think, and probably anybody listening to this has done a lot of work, personal work. But if you haven't done soul retrieval work, it might be your missing piece.
I like to teach other people how to do it for each other because it feels like where we're moving into is community healing. And of course, it's great to see a practitioner that's very, very well trained, but this is something we know how to do. So I do teach these 5-day healing intensives. And I also do online, like once every month, preparation work so that people learn to feel a safety and a connection with their guides and their teachers because this work, soul retrieval work, it's not human work. This is where our spirit teams come in and they answer the call. And so we all know that when we ask spirit for support, we can receive support. We don't ask. So if we can say, every day that we want to embody the soul aspects that have left. But and we want to ask our spirit guides to bring them, but we want to have a loving, trusting relationship with our spirit guides to do that. And many of you already do. And also, we want to feel it. So, one exercise that I love to do, and maybe we'll just do it for a minute. And I think this is a really nice embodiment of Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So actually, I wrote Aries brings enthusiasm. So we're having a party or we're creating a new world. Aries brings enthusiasm, spark, and energy. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's create something new. Saturn brings the commitment, the perseverance, and the commitment to mastery. And the commitment to mastery means the commitment to moving beyond what has stopped us up until now, which is usually our self-doubt um, or a lack of belief. And also Saturn brings like that sense of being dedicated and reverent. And Neptune brings the visions and the dreams and the connections to spirit and love and compassion, inner guidance and healing, and seeing the connectedness in all things, um, so that we can become superconductors of love. But the imagery that works for me, and this is so one of so I've been doing shamanic work for many, many decades, and one of my favorite practices, and I do it regularly, is that I journey to my descendants 7 generations from now, and I have a relationship with them. And I ask, what do you need from me now in order for you to have the most fulfilling reality possible? And my descendants did give me a list. And one of the things, and this I started in 2015, one of the things they said was, and so I'm happy to report that obviously our culture got the message, and it wasn't all up to me. Because one of the things they said is we need trauma repair that's like brushing your teeth. Is this something you can do every day that's like brushing your teeth? Because we won't have time for like 3 years of therapy. And it's great to have, we can't stay in fight, flight, or freeze. We need, and so there are so many in it free YouTube videos and just in every modality, whether it's coaching or acupuncture or psychotherapy or, whatever, we are all learning how to support people in moving, in identifying when we're in fight, flight, or freeze and shifting it. Um, and I guess with the soul retrieval or spiritual work, there's just that extra element of absorbing your luminosity and feeling that life force that we need. So I love this image that my spirit team gave me of a tree and feeling the roots of the tree and the trunk of the tree and the branches and bringing the light in through the branches and the leaves, bring it down through the trunk and into the ground and then up from the earth, the light, and then out back into the universe and having it's very Taoist, but there's something about asking to merge with the energy of a tree that when we are in, for me, it works, um, uh, a trauma response or a soul loss response. We can feel it, right? We get our stomach tight and we feel like our memory gets all wonky or we get really confused and we suddenly don't know what to do. And we want to be able to really work with the energy of Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries and the North Node in Pisces. We want to be able to work with that to birth new, really creative, imaginative, like amazing new structures, but we can't do that if we're in a fetal position because of all the many things that are happening that are truly um, challenging to us. So I'm
It's
not talking about ignoring
triggering
it.
all old trauma that hasn't necessarily been completely
Right.
dealt
Right.
with yet, or transmuted, transformed, or those soul pieces haven't come back yet for whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. And right. So I have an example of a couple of clients. One, a lot of times it's sometimes from a past life. Like how many of us were thrown into wells, burned at the stake, thrown off a cliff,
Hung from
all of
a
that.
tree or
and and got even cursed like you're bad because you knew that the divine was inside and we don't want people to know that and then you come back and I actually have had a very strong memory since childhood of being at the bottom of a well and I did a lot of work and then when I really learned about soul retrieval I realized I had to bring to her the qualities she needed, which was that she was magical and she was loving and she was beloved and not that she was a horrible, terrible person who was doing, but also there was this having compassion for the ones that threw her in there, right? Like that we have to have that they wouldn't do that if they were remembered who they were. Is- uh, and so empathy, thinking about what we're feeling and what needs we might have and those qualities like I'm noticing I have a need to feel safe and then anchoring then allowing like a bubble of safety to come in and to absorb it in every cell of our body or a bubble of love which it won't stick if there's soul loss um, but we can also ask our guides and teachers to bring in our soul the soul light and we can do that daily through meditation so maybe we'll just do like a few minutes would that be okay?
absolutely. I think this is and this is something people can do for themselves later
Oh yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's just take a few deep breaths and taking a moment to experience the air on your skin and any smells or sounds awakening your senses to where you are in this moment. And bringing a moment to bring your awareness in your body vertically. So the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Just take a few deep breaths and noticing, what am I sensing? What am I experiencing and feeling? With each breath, just allow yourself to soften. And notice, fill your body with your awareness on on the horizontal, from ear to ear and shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, even the outside of the leg to the inside of the leg and feet. Now take a moment to imagine a root system coming down from the base of your spine and the bottoms of your feet, going down through the floorboards, down through the dirt, past the rock, into the molten core of the earth. And imagine those root systems expanding. And just take another few deep breaths and notice, what are the sensations that change when you do that? And I want you to send some hello and some appreciation for the body of the earth that continually supports us in having a life in physicality. So we just send down that gratitude, that appreciation, connecting with the spirit of the earth, a luminous creator goddess that created this earth and fell so deeply in love with her creation that she traveled on a river of light and love and stars into the center of our planet as a spirit. Some call her Gaia. Her energy, her current is green, green crystal liquid light. So just take a moment to breathe that liquid light up those roots and up your legs, all the way up and out the top of your head, and forming like a waterfall of green crystal light surrounding your body, and within your body absorbing this luminescent crystal green light that is regenerating, rejuvenating, restorative. And then become aware of your body as a trunk. And imagine from the top of your head, branches branching out and leaves opening. Now sense and imagine the light of the sun, source, just breathing that in, absorbing it through your leaves, bringing it down the trunk and down into the roots, and bringing that light of source into the earth. Taking another moment to imagine or sense a golden light above your head. The eighth chakra, higher self, connected to all. When you were born and you took your first breath, your higher self sent a hologram into your heart. So breathe that light in from the top of your head into your heart, like warm liquid honey, warm liquid light to your heart. And see that moving through your whole body like rivers of golden light out your arms and down your legs and down that root system and into the earth. And do that 3 times. Breathing in, feeling that light expanding in your heart, and exhaling. Breathing in, exhaling, feeling those golden river of light moving through your body, through your expanded heart. And bring your awareness back into your heart. See your heart as a golden star, like the sun we radiate effortlessly. Just sense, feel, and imagine that golden light radiating through your body. And we ask that this light be connected to the heart of the earth. We ask our higher self and our guide teams that come from love, kindness, compassion, service to all and harm to none, to bring back, to return to us our love, our courage, our joy, our creativity, our playfulness, our magic, all the soul parts that are ready, willing, and able to return. See these aspects returning as golden orbs of light coming in through the top of your head and filling your body. And imagine every cell of your body like a rose opening to absorb this light. And just take a moment to notice what you're experiencing in this moment. Feeling your roots, your leaves, and your trunk, embodying your own light. And let's just take a moment to see and imagine and feel the earth herself absorbing her light codes, that thousands and millions of healers and angelic beings are radiating light into the meridians and the ley lines of the earth for healing. And imagine this light moving into the earth, supporting a balancing of the elements and all life. May all beings be happy, be healthy, and healing. May all beings know peace. May our time together today be of great benefit to all. Aho.
Oh.
That was a little longer than I expected.
I'm sure it was perfect. I was like the as those light bubbles orbs were coming in, they were like jumping around going, "We're back, we're back, we're back."
Yes. So this isn't
Excited.
this, yes, and imagine if you're with a group of people and you're doing a meditation like this and you're all breathing into your heart space and radiating out this energy of the heart effortlessly and toning, and half the group's in the center of the circle, and there's this intention for healing. It's so easy. There's no real effort here, but this is a good example of the enthusiasm of healing and embodiment and Saturn, the like learning easy, simple ways that work, that are effective, and doing it in community, which is very Aquarian, and and the Neptune of connecting with the spirit, our spirit bodies, our spirit friends. We, the angelics and the spiritual beings and teachers and healers on the other side, they can help us, but we need to ask to partner with them. And they need us. We're boots on the ground. We're the transition team, and they're here to support us. And one thing I will say uh, is that one of the things about Aries is we're not the most patient archetype on the planet.
Not even close.
Even close. We like things to happen quickly. And it is really helpful for us to understand that we are at the turning of an age. Yes, a 26,000 turning of an age, and that it's 144 years, and even maybe beyond that. And that we're here to do our part in grounding this light, in radiating, and in transforming ourselves and doing what's ours to do and to release this really like a shadow narrative of we have to fix everything. It's all up to us. We failed somehow because there's a lot of really disturbing things happening. And there's two metaphors. When I give people cleanses, especially like gut cleanses, I always warn them, when the fungus or the parasites or the bacteria starts to die, they're going to excrete their toxins before they move out. And then your gut will repair and da da da. And it's like, well, right now we're like taking as all this nice, beautiful energy's coming in, and this old energy in some ways is excreting all its toxins. And that we want to be really careful not to have our focus be there so much that we forget that there's this magic happening that we can co-create with.
Simultaneously
And
happening.
simultaneously, and so it's like holding open the grief and the loss that we're experiencing and the disappointment too. Holding that bigger picture of in the world of spirit, there is no time, in sacred time, and that this is happening as fast as it possibly can. And and in the next 20 years, we have some great, wonderful surprises and some challenging experiences. And that we want to be full and as filled with our own vitality and life force and connection to all of our resources and all the dimensions, so that we can enthusiastically take part in the great turning. So, yeah.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. So are you, I loved what you shared, and I think you mentioned something about having maybe links to some things that people can tune into to maybe deepen this practice.
Yes, I'm gonna create two like 15-minute meditations. One is called you'll get and I'll send them to you and then people can have like a 15-minute meditation. I'm also gonna possibly do like a journey to Kuan Yin's healing temple. Um, you know, and and then there are very inexpensive monthly classes or bi-monthly classes to continue this if you want to. Many of you are doing so many things, and the week-long retreat healing intensive in June.
Right. So if people want to do this in person with you, they can, you'll send me a link that will also give them the information about how they can
And I
sign.
do coaching and mentoring individually too, but I think the groups are the most fun
Yeah.
because people get to watch. One thing that happened in the last class, just as an example, is one of my students is um, a doctor, and she left her medical practice to pursue herbal medicine and homeopathic. And she was having a hard time like stepping into that. And during this week-long intensive, she really opened up to like her inner medicine woman, and it came in like very physically, very strongly. And her entire life changed. She decided to get a divorce, and which she was really needing to do, but also all of a sudden people started calling her for her herbal medicine work, her spiritual healing work, her communication with spirit, like really, and it just started just all of the things that appeared to be obstacles were really that the energetic like attractor field needed to be invited in.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. I hope people are inspired by this and that there are these practices. So, maybe one thing we can do before we wrap this up is you said like brushing your teeth. Like, what's a really quick practice everybody could do every day to like help with soul retrieval or dealing with soul loss?
several one would be just breathing in light from the top of your head. bringing it into your heart, seeing it expand just like the rays of the golden sun through your body, and then grounding it through the root system into the earth, or just connecting with your heart, sending the intention to see and feel and experience that light in your heart that's like the sun or a star, and inviting it to just expand and radiate through you.
Beautiful. I love
Take a
that.
minute. Just
Yeah.
take a yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Lauren. I love you so much. You're amazing. And I'm so glad that we got to do this and that I just imagine people are going to be very inspired by what you've shared today and that there'll be maybe some who will be following up and seeing what more they can do with you. So how cool is that? So thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, and just gratitude for everybody who's showing up to be a part of this becoming superconductors of love, because that's really what I think soul retrieval helps us to do. It's like if we're vibrating with that higher vibrational energy of love, then we are a superconductor. So,
And embodying it and just calling back what's ours.
and if there's enough of us, it doesn't even have to be a lot of us, but just a small, not even a whole, 1 whole% of us that do it will change everything in the
Absolutely.
entire reality that we're living in. So that's how powerful this is. Yeah.
I love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. Bye.